Hey guys, it's Hooves of Doom. This video is really basically like a New Year's resolution video. As we all know, they always have a degree of difficulty kind of ensuring that you stick with what you're resolved to do. Um, my resolution for 2017 is much the same as 2016, and but I'm actually very hopeful that this year will be a little bit better overall. So I have two very simple resolutions for 2017. The first is to paint more models than I buy, very simply. Secondly, is to play more games and more AOS, but also I really want to get into 40k a lot more. So how will I achieve the first goal? Well, in my opinion, it's really about staying on my projects and painting regularly. Because the projects really lean in favor of armies that I already possess, the way that I've kind of arranged it. The only way that I'll fail is if I simply don't paint. It's possible that purchases can kind of outpace my painting speed, so I need to be kind of very proactive and diligent to ensure that every month I do complete a sizable amount of models. I want to really push these projects and paint a lot. Last year I started off fairly well, but I lost the goal of like the overall arcing scheme of the projects, and I started to kind of buy just random stuff. Like I just completely forgot about what I was supposed to be doing. And GW's decision to release plenty of box games last year was kind of like another contributing factor, because each of those box games is rightly a project that could last, a few months. And I pretty much bought them all. So this year, any and all purchases must correspond to my projects. I'm very strict about this, and it's going to be really hard. But I'm going to stick with it. There's no doubt about it. So, for instance, I know that there is a racing game coming out for Dark Eldar. I'm really interested, but I'm not buying that damn box set unless I'm working on a Dark Eldar army. And if I really want something, it's more of a motivation to finish projects as quick as I can so that I can go through armies, and therefore maybe I will get a Dark Eldar army, working on later this year or next year or what have you. It's possible that at some point in the future I can kind of work on more projects month to month. I think that would be a really fun thing to do, but I've got to establish several larger armies now in order to actually, so I can play regular games with them. There's no point working on a few different armies, but they're not usable or not playable as a cohesive faction. So if I attend a tournament in 2016, I'm either going to use existing armies or finish the current project if it is applicable. For instance, if I do attend Holy Wars in February, I did sign up for Holy Wars. At the time, I was, I think, 9 or 10 on the waiting list, and I was kind of thinking, not going to happen. I'll put my name on there, but, not going to happen. I looked on there just yesterday, though, and I'm now number 3. So, and there's a month and a half left, so maybe, at the beginning of February, I'll get the email saying, hey, if you want to go to Holy Wars, we have a spot for you. My existing AOS armies are not really applicable. They're just not designed for competitive play, because I built and painted them during, pre-General's Handbook. So they're not 2,000 points. They don't necessarily have all the battle line requirements, so on and so forth. What I did for Holy Havoc with the Death Lords was great. I really I always wanted those models. It's great to get them. I painted them, but it wasn't part of my projects, and it kind of threw me for a loop. It kind of pushed me a little bit off in my focus. I'm blaming Mrs. Hooves on this because she really wanted to play Death. But I was happy to have her with me, and certainly didn't mind. If I'm going to take her to a tournament, we've got to play an army that she wants to play. So I was happy with that. But it did kind of get my projects off track, because I'm supposed to be working on this Imperial Guard army since like March, and I only just got back to it in December. So, but that's all right. So painting and building armies, just requires a different mentality now with the General's Handbook. So that's something I'm going to be doing in the future. The second goal, to play more games, just really requires me to be proactive. Might seem strange because I have this YouTube channel. I'm really not that outgoing at all. I prefer just to kind of stay home and hide. But the upcoming 40K campaign looks really amazing, and I really do want to be involved. In many respects, I regret not being involved in 40K for the last few editions, because it means I didn't get that opportunity to kind of experience the gameplay in recent years. I did start out in 2016 with a similar goal to play more. I did play a few games of AOS and 40K at the start of 2016 with a friend. But since moving to Colorado, I really haven't been able to find a cohesive gaming group. I know they do play AOS at the GW store in Denver, but that's a little bit of a drive away, and it's in the middle of Denver, so it's lots of traffic and so on and so forth. There's another store in Boulder, which is it's probably about the same. It's probably a little bit closer in terms of driving distance, but it's also a pretty straight shot through like open country. Like there's just not as much traffic. So that sounds kind of nice to me. So when I was playing back in Maine 40K, gamer etiquette was a little bit more relaxed, because my opponent was fairly new to 40K as well. He was kind of getting back into it the same way I was. And, he's a pretty relaxed guy. So our games were fairly relaxed. But if I'm going to play against new opponents, people I don't know, I really need to finish my Astra Militarum army, because some of the kits are just unassembled. This is my Werven, for instance. Doesn't even have tracks or anything on it. There's no guardsman on the back. This is my little aircraft thing. It doesn't have like all the parts. There's no cockpit finish. There's doors. I can't bring this to the local store, especially not to a Games Workshop store. I'll get chased out of there with a bunch of pitchforks. But when I do finish the army, I do want to aggressively push to play 40K. In some ways, I face the same problem in AOS, because my armies are not, again, as I mentioned, not specifically designed for match play. So when I finish my free guild, I will also be pushing to play AOS. Now, like I said, I knew that they played AOS in Denver, Boulder, but over Christmas they posted some pictures from the Boulder GW, and they had some pictures of AOS being played. So I was like, interesting. I went down to the GW store just a couple days ago to buy some paints, and talked to the guy, and he said AOS is not as popular as their other main game, but it does get played on occasion. I'm not opposed to playing smaller games of either game, so if I can finish part of the army and it's ready to go, I'll certainly start playing the game if there's an opponent that wants to play maybe not 2,000 points, but 1,000 points or whatnot. I really do prefer games at home, but in order to invite people over, I've got to meet them first for the most part. So I do plan on exposing myself a little bit more widely to the local community. Just before I make this video, for instance, I posted a post in the AOS and 40K Facebook group, like the local groups, asking if anyone lived in my area. And a subscriber to the channel is actually coming to Colorado to visit family and friends, and I was chatting with him during Warhammer Weekly last night, and so we've arranged to have a game during his stay. He's also going to Holy Wars as well, so that would be kind of interesting. But overall, I'm just going to be a little bit more active, try to meet these people, and just, you know, I know that they do have open gaming at the GW stores. According to the conversation I had with the manager, the weekend nights are usually the best, so maybe once a week I'll kind of just go down, and even if at this point, if I don't have, you know, armies that are really that feasible, I can at least just hang out and kind of meet people, so they're not quite, so I'll just have a sense of the games that are being played and the people that are playing them. Finally, last year, the biggest thing that probably disrupted me from accomplishing either goal was really just moving to Colorado. Big kind of transition when you're packing up and moving to a new spot, and we weren't really in a decent home for a month or two when we first got here. You know, it was fine, but we couldn't. Difficult to kind of arrange games, and all my models were packed and so on and so forth. So, but this year we could be moving again, right? There's always that possibility. And if it does, it will cause some degree of disruption. I'm going to try better if we do move. Not certain we will, but if we do move, I'm going to try a little bit better to readjust faster, and certainly adopt the same strategies that I've been mentioning throughout this video. So those are my resolutions for 2017. I wish everyone luck with their own hobby resolutions, and let's reduce the amount of gray in our collections. I'm probably one of the biggest culprits of this, but you know, we can all work towards it. Anyways, have a good one. Game more this year, and have a good one.